I can't hear. I can't hear.
Okay. All right, everybody, good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so we don't have a court reporter today, right? Court reporter, do we have?
I haven't requested a reporter.
Well, Judge, I would like one. I would like one.
Did you request one in advance?
No.
All right, let me see if I can call and get one on, okay? Let me see if, because Ms. Sanders doesn't do it unless she's requested, but let me see. All right, let me just make one call.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I found a court reporter and she's going to sign on in just a second. All
Thank
right.
you.
So it's my understanding that, what do we got to cover here this morning? Because I think y'all had limited issues, right?
Right,
Yes.
Judge. Custody, as well as child support.
Because I got on here, Judge Swell said, and Mr. Romero said it was like a 2-hour hearing, is what y'all estimated at most.
Yes, Judge.
Yeah.
1 hour each side.
So we have a witness.
Yes, Judge. I have a witness present, Miss Janice Riley, who will, I expect a call first, but if the court is inclined
Okay.
to put her in a breakout room or
Yes, I saw that she was on. I would invoke the rule sequestration, please. If that's your only witness, that's fine, but I would invoke the rule, Your Honor.
Okay,
I also expect to call Mr. Riley as well, but obviously, he can
Okay.
skip now.
and let me, I don't know how to send a joint message, so I'm going to send each attorney individually my email.
Judge, you asking for a lot from me, so I gotta check my emails while I'm on the
No,
platform.
I'm sending on the chat here
Okay, okay.
so that the two lawyers will have it. I just don't know how to send a joint one, so but I'm just letting y'all know that I'm sending them individually. To
Okay.
give it out, if I give it out over the air, I get a lot of hate mail. I just had to send it to both of you individually instead of.
Got it.
So if you guys both want to send me your, I see there's one proposed by Ms. Feliciano, some proposed orders. If y'all want to email me stuff, you can just email it to me.
Okay,
Did I see a proposed child support addendum, child support worksheet from Ms. Feliciano?
I haven't gotten your message, Judge.
I sent a direct message in the chat.
Right, I'm looking, I'm on the chat and
Did you get Ms. Feliciano?
I did, yes, Judge.
Oh, I sent it right before I sent it to her. You go down to the chat.
I'm there. What I'm doing, I'm gonna send you back a message to
Okay.
make. I see your name, I see your email. Is that,
That's what I've been sending you. Is my email.
oh, okay, okay,
That's the message I've been sending.
okay, okay.
Yeah, that's all I said was my email.
I've just sent you a message, Judge.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Okay.
Right, we're just waiting on Miss Bosky to get on here.
And you're wanting the proposed orders to be sent over, right, Judge?
Sure, y'all can just email stuff to me if you'd like.
Okay.
I have my email.
Morning, Judge.
Good morning. All right, if both council doesn't mind putting their contact info in the chat to Ms. Bosky, where it says K Bosky, court reporter.
Yes, fine, Judge.
And that way she'll know where to send everything. And Ms. Bosky, something with the case style on there, so she'll have it. Let's see. That way, if anything, Ms. Bosky will respond back with her email. So if you've made any exhibits, please make sure that you have those marked and email them to Ms. Bosky so she can include them in the transcript. And there's one thing that I do require of Ms. Bosky, we'll go ahead and put this on the record so we can get started, is that if Ms. Bosky is, if you're gonna get a copy of the transcript, please put on the record right now that you're going to share in takedown. Council,
We will share and take down one.
Okay,
both gonna share and takedown?
yes,
Okay, so one thing that I do require, if you haven't been in front of me, is that Ms. Bosky get paid within 5 days of receiving her invoice, or would she, if you want to pay now, she can send you an electronic link and you can pay, but she does need to pay within 5 days of receiving an invoice, or you appear in front of me and you purge in courtroom in person or from Rice Street. Now, if there's anything I want to tell the parties this, all of them, and Miss Bailey Riley, if you turn on your camera, please, because I don't like to talk to a screensaver. So y'all understand this is a dry record. So Miss Bosky, on the wonderful speller and all that, she can't take down both of us talking at the same time. So make sure you don't talk over one another. If you're asked a question, just take a brief pause before you answer, because the other opposing attorney may want to object. If they object, stop, don't answer the question, let the other attorney object, let the attorneys battle that out, let me rule, and then you'll know whether or not you can answer the question, okay? If you're asked a question that requires a yes or no answer, like, did you get up this morning? Answer with a yes or a no. And then you can offer an explanation, okay? Hold on a second. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. They don't clean my courtroom until I'm in court. Anyway, so like I said, make sure you do wait and then you'll be able to answer, okay? Let the attorneys argue. Answer the question that you are asked. All right, they're both trained to ask you a question that gets the answer that they want. That's why you get to offer an explanation, okay? Don't interrupt each other, don't argue with each other, and direct your interest towards me or the attorney, okay? All right, everybody got that? If everybody that's going to testify, Ms. Goodram, Mr. Riley, Ms. Bailey Riley, y'all all raise your right hands for me. All right, do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth? Ms. Goodram? Take yourself off mute.
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Mr. Riley?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Ms. Bailey Riley?
yes.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Riley, no, Ms. Bailey Riley, no offense, but I'm going to put you in a waiting room, okay? If you get cut off, you could just sign back in. All right, so this is Michael Riley versus, I do have an accent, I apologize, Ms. Goodram. Lashara, or is that right?
LaShara.
Lashara, okay, I knew it. Goodram, It's 2021 CV 345685. Ms. Bosky, I did email you a document with at least the case style on it. So if there's something that you think Ms. Bosky can't spell, as far as a name or something like that, if you don't mind, counsel, if y'all could put it in the chat or at least email it to her later, so she'll have that. But if you put your contact information and everything in there, are there going to be openings?
Yes, Judge, I have an opening.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so Judge, Latoya Feliciano again, for the record, on behalf of the petitioner, Michael Riley. Michael Riley, my client is the father of Alicia Riley, and Ms. Goodram is the mother. She's 9 years old, and we're asking this court that to grant physical custody, primary physical custody to Mr. Riley. And in support of the request, we intend to present significant evidence, Your Honor, disturbing evidence at times of actions taken by Ms. Goodram, the respondent. We expect to show that she was in contempt of this court, serious contempt of this court, by removing the child from the state, taking her to Florida for quite a bit of time, we believe over a month, which ultimately demanded the filing of this case. We will show that prior to that time, Mr. Riley had physical custody of the child for almost a year. At the onset of the pandemic, Mr. Riley was the parent that was responsible for caring for the child while Ms. Goodram was off working halfway across the country. We believe in Denver, Colorado. We'll show that when she took the child to Florida, once she had just gotten the child back from Mr. Riley. We will be able to show, Your Honor, it really is undeniable that she prevented Mr. Riley from exercising his visitation while the child was in Florida, that she refused to bring the child back to Georgia so that Mr. Riley could exercise his visitation with the child, to the point where Mr. Riley basically begged Ms. Goodram to bring the child back and actually booked a ticket to go pick the child up himself. At that point in time, Ms. Goodram made it very clear that she would not be returning the child. Mr. Riley did not know where the child was, only that she was in Jacksonville with the grandmother. Aside from the contempt, Your Honor, we're going to show a pattern of just neglect. Ms. Goodram leaving the child at home by herself, leaving the child at home with her daughter, who is a minor herself, 16 years old. We will show that on multiple occasions, that child who was supervising this 9-year-old child has run away from home. We will show that there have been occasions where Ms. Goodram has failed to seek medical attention for the child. We will show that, in fact, Mr. Goodram has been the primary caretaker for this child. The order for legitimation gave Mr. Riley significant time with his daughter, usually Thursdays to Mondays. He exercised that time with the child, but for the most part, he also exercised a lot of Ms. Goodram's time with the child. And so you'll see that Mr. Riley's been the parent that has taken the child to the doctor, to the dentist. The court will be able to show, to be able to see that he has been the person to take lead for education and academics. He has taken the lead on extracurricular activities. He's already been the primary caretaker for this child. And the sequence of events has necessitated him seeking from the court official status as the primary caretaker. Lastly, Judge, we will show that Ms. Goodram herself has acknowledged and admitted that it is in the best interest of Alicia that she be in the custody of her father. You're going to hear testimony that the only reason why she will not concede is because of child support, that she needs the money to support her lifestyle. She even suggested that Mr. Riley get custody unofficially and still send her child support, and even graciously offered to send him half of the child support money back. We will show all of these things to the court and additional reasons to the court that show that it is indeed in the best interest of this child that Mr. Riley be granted primary custody. We're asking the court to award Mr. Riley primary custody, as well as an award of child support from Ms. Goodram for support of Alicia.
All right. You want to do an opening, counsel?
Yes, Judge, thank you. Your Honor, this is not a contempt. This is a request for a change of custody. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. And what's required is a change of circumstances. What Mr. Riley did was very unfortunate. He took advantage of the pandemic to file this request. All of the allegations that can conceivably be proven all occurred during the pandemic. Mr. Riley has the benefit of working from home, and Ms. Goodram allowed him visitation other than what the court had initially ordered because she didn't have that luxury of working from home. She had to go in, and thinking that he was actually trying to help her because the children, of course, were not in school, the 16-year-old and the 9-year-old, and Ms. Goodram having to work, she thought he was actually assisting out of the goodness of his heart. But all the time he had this sinister motive that I'm going to request a change of custody. Whatever change of circumstances there were that are required to be shown for a change of custody were only temporary during the pandemic. And Ms. Goodram has never taken the child out of Georgia, has never relocated. That's not true. She has never worked out of Atlanta. She's had the same job for 4 or 5 years, has never changed jobs. All of the, we'll see what proof they intend to put before the court, because it never happened, Judge.
All right.
It never happened. It never happened. And the one incident, well, not one, Mr. Riley did take the child to the dentist on the days that he had custody of her. He did do that. And he helped her with her schoolwork. He did things that a father should do. To insinuate that because he did those things, somehow Ms. Goodram is unfit, it's not true. It's sad that a person would do that in the middle of this pandemic, because all of these things were just temporary. Now, things are back to normal. There is no need for a change of custody, Your Honor. She's a fit parent and she's been doing a great job. That 16-year-old is more than capable of babysitting her 9-year-old daughter. So I'm not sure how that allegation supports a change of custody, because she leaves her at home with her 16-year-old sister. And the allegation of her running away, the 16-year-old, not sure what that has to do with a change of circumstances, which is what is required by the law, Judge. And I submit they will not be able to show or put before this court any significant change in circumstances that will warrant a change of custody. Thank you, Judge.
All right. You want to call your first witness?
Yes, Judge, I'd like to call Janice Riley.
All right. Okay, Ms. Bailey Riley, you've been previously sworn. Go ahead, counsel.
All right, Ms. Riley, can you explain the nature of the relationship between yourself and Ms. Goodram?
We have a pretty good relationship. Our relationship is more of just working out issues that maybe her and Michael cannot resolve, or, just speaking with me about, things that's going on with Alicia, or things that, they need at the time. So we have a good relationship.
Okay. And you had the opportunity to speak with Ms. Goodram in regards to custody. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Can you explain to the court what the nature of that conversation was?
Object to the hearsay, Your Honor.
Judge, Ms. Goodram is here and she could testify to whatever is being said by Ms. Riley.
She's a party opponent, so I'll let her talk about what the party opponent said. Go ahead.
We talked about her. She was considering moving out of town for some type of career advancement. And we talked about her staying here. She was wanting to work something out with Michael. And she was telling me at first he declined and was not open to speak about his child moving out of town at all. So she was saying, she would be happy with her staying here with us, she just didn't want Michael to go to court. She was concerned if he would go to court and actually file for custody and put it on record. So, and she was just saying she was concerned with the child support, that she would be able to send him maybe half back because she still would need to, maintain a household wherever she moved to. At the time, she just wouldn't be able to completely not have any type of support, but that she would be fine with her staying with us.
Did Ms. Goodram indicate where she was moving to or where she wanted to move to?
No, I did not know exactly where.
Okay. And so did you try to, I guess, talk her into allowing Alicia to live with you all?
I told her I would like Alicia to stay with us. We already have a good relationship. She's happy here. And she indicated the same thing, that she, was happy with, our relationship and that she would actually like her to stay with us. So that's all, I indicated.
Okay. And so, and the only reason that you would presume that she would not want her to stay is because she didn't want to child support to end.
Correct. Yes. And she didn't want it to legally have a transfer of custody or primary or, whatever you call it.
Okay. And so you've been present, I guess, over the past several years with the issues that are going on between Ms. Goodram as well as Mr. Riley. What has been your position in all of this?
To me, I find myself really just being more the mediator. I think initially, she tries to work things out with Michael. If they can't come to an agreement, she may contact me. I know our very first interaction, a meeting in person, she just came to our home. Her and my husband had a disagreement about the weekend or the times, and she was needing to go out of town for work for that weekend. And, she asked me, wanted to speak to me about Alicia staying there because, we did, live together at the time. And, just recently before school started, Alicia was due to go back on a Sunday. She requested for Michael to drop her off on the Saturday, the day before. And he said, no, I'll drop her off on Sunday. So she just contacted me and just let me know what's going on. And she wanted her back to make preparation. So, I just kind of made that happen. So, it's really just when they don't work things out, me and her just, I just try to work things out for both of them. So, everything is, stays fine. And if there's no, nobody's upset on either side.
Okay, so it would be fair to say that you're kind of a mediator between the two.
That's what I would say. Yeah, or either sometimes I'm just the go-to person.
Okay. Are you aware of, so when Alicia is dropped off, is it you that receives Alicia or is it Michael?
We both do.
Okay. And so would you say that Ms. Goodram works a lot?
Yes, as far as I know.
Like, does she travel a lot with her work?
She did prior to this case, yes.
Okay. And so to your knowledge, she's no longer traveling?
To my knowledge, she's no longer traveling. From what I get, she's working from home.
So, and that would have been after the case was filed?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Judge, I have no further questions.
Cross?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You can go about your day.
Okay.
Stay healthy and safe. Have a good weekend. All right, next witness.
Judge, I'd like to call Mr. Michael Riley.
All right, sir, you've been previously sworn. Go ahead.
All right, Mr. Riley, you are asking this court to award you primary custody. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Have you already had Alicia the majority of the time, would you say?
Yes.
Okay. And who would you say has been a primary caretaker for Alicia?
Me and my wife have been the primary caretaker for Alicia.
Okay. And so why did you file this case for modification of custody?
I found it for several reasons. One is the as you touched over the instability. LaShayra was back and forth out of town for work, which caused Alicia to at times go out of the state to her mother's house while she's going to another state to to actually care for her. Also, I've been contacted by both of her previous kids. Actually, has a pattern of running away from home. So I don't want Alicia to actually go down that path. The second is the schooling. Just the lack of support academically that LaShayra has provided for Alicia. Me and my wife has been the primary person that teachers have contacted when Alicia hadn't done any assignments. We are, when she's not with us, we're consistently on FaceTime, making sure that she gets her assignments done. While LaShayra is either out of state or is working. And the third thing is just the safety. Just my safety concerns. There's been multiple times when Alicia has been it's been late at night, and I've actually had to tell Alicia to go and take a bath.
Let me stop you real quick. Judge, Ms. Goodram is no longer on the screen.
Ms. Goodram, I'm gonna need you to, there you go. Need you to keep your camera on.
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Riley. You can
That's fine.
continue.
It's the concerns for safety. It's times that Alicia has been, it's been at night, and Alicia hadn't taken a bath, hadn't got preparation to get ready for the next school day. And so, I had to make sure, even while she's there, to, have her to go and take a bath there and get ready for bedtime. Her may be around, but, Alicia is, she's alone. Also, there's been an incident where, while on FaceTime during the school hour, there was a stranger that walked into the door, into the house. LaShayra later said that was a maintenance. That was actually coming in, but that was just kind of like scary because it was just, just somebody just kind of walking in the door, and it kind of startled Alicia. So it's just the safety concerns, and then just the erratic behavior. It's just been a pattern of just erratic behavior with LaShayra. There's multiple incidents of with multiple people.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you just said. Something about multiple people, what?
Yeah, just been altercations.
Okay.
With people over time. One has been with my sister that has led to her going to jail. The other has been with her mother. She's had fights with the mother, and as well as her kids. So just that irregular behavior, and also she gets upset pretty easily with myself. When I didn't register her for school, Alicia for school, one of the things that she did was she actually kept me away from not being able to know where Alicia was attending school. So it's just that erratic behavior. And so for those reasons, as among as several reasons, I am seeking full custody.
Okay, we allow me to kind of break things down a little bit. Ms. Goodram removed Alicia from the state. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, how do you know that she removed her from the state?
Well, for several reasons. One, I actually had Alicia has a tracking on her phone, and so I knew she was actually in the state of Florida, you know, during those times.
Did Ms. Goodram ask your permission to remove her from the state?
No, she did not.
Okay. And so when you found out that she wasn't in the state, what actions did you take to get her back?
My action was to, plead to Leshera to bring her back so I can actually, be the person that's in, helping her out with her school and things, because she was falling behind. Teachers were, contacting me, calling me. And so I pleaded to Leshera to, bring her back. I even took the extent to, I purchased plane tickets to make sure, that we were, to bring her back so she can actually, get caught up.
Okay. Judge, I'm going to share my screen with a message and ask Mr. Riley if he's familiar with this screenshot.
Sure.
I'm trying to tender into evidence, plaintiff petitioner's exhibit 1. Give me just a second, Mr. Riley. Mr. Riley. All right, Mr. Riley, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
All right, so this is labeled P1 for petitioner's exhibit 1. Do you recognize, and I'm going to scroll a little bit because it doesn't show on the entire screen, but do you recognize this message?
Yes, that's me actually asking Leshera to provide me the address to her mother's house so I can pick up Alicia. And the fact that, letting her know that I've purchased plane tickets and I'll be there the following day.
Okay. And at this time that Alicia was in Florida, and that was it during your visitation time?
Yes, it was during the visitation time, because this was probably a month without me actually seeing Alicia. So she had been in Jacksonville during that time, and this was right after the Christmas holiday.
Mm-hmm.
So she had been there the entire time.
Okay, and so you'd ask Ms. Goodram to please return her, and she, according to this message, you're saying that she would not return her.
Right, correct. She would not return her. One of the reasons, like I said, the primary reason was just due to schooling. It was just due to the teachers actually contacted me, and I'm on FaceTime with Alicia while she's in Jacksonville, trying to assist her in, doing some work, which was a difficult task.
And to your knowledge, do you know who she was with while she was in Florida?
Yeah, she was with her grandmother.
Okay, do you know where the grandmother lives?
No, I do not know.
Okay, did you ask Ms. Goodram where does the grandmother live?
Yes. And in the text message that you see there, it says I'm calling to get the address.
Okay.
So.
Okay. All right, Judge, I'd like to tender plaintiff's exhibit 1, which is a text message between Mr. Riley and Ms. Goodram.
No
Any
objection.
All right, it's admitted.
And then I'm going to also share, Judge, P2, Mr. Goodram, Mr. Riley, if you could also, if you would identify this message once it comes up. Can you identify this message? Is this a message between yourself and Ms. Goodram?
Yes, that is. That's me letting her know that I'll be picking her up from Jacksonville. And this is after I purchased plane tickets. And, she's acknowledging, she's saying, hey, she wants her to stay.
Okay. Okay, and so you mentioned that you were corresponding with her teachers. Are you aware of whether these teachers corresponded also with Ms. Goodram?
No, they weren't corresponding with Ms. Goodram. If you can see, I think the following day, I'm asking, for her mother's number because I've tried to call Alicia, for past due misassignments. So I'm there consistently on a daily basis, making sure that she's getting her assignments done, and the teachers are contacting me. So in the text message, I'm just, pleading her, just provide me, at this time, just provide me your mother's number. And then, she's just saying, hey, please leave Alicia alone.
Okay, so you don't have the grandmother's phone number?
No.
Do you have that number now?
No.
So the whole time that she was in Florida, you did not have a contact number for the adult who was?
No, I didn't have a contact number for any adult, nor did I talk to any adult. I just seen them probably pass over the camera here and there. The only contact I had was with Alicia's phone, if her phone was charged, and if she answered the FaceTime.
Okay. And so while she was there, you did have some opportunity to speak to Alicia if her phone was charged. Yes.
So it was on most days, I was able to talk with her during school days, and try to assist her getting, her work done. But like I said, it was definitely a challenging task because, I'm trying to assist her as well as I'm trying to log into her portal and see what assignments she has to do and try to do all this virtually, try to, teach her virtually, which was, a difficult task.
Okay. And during this time, where was Ms. Goodram?
She was not around. She was actually working out of the state.
Do you know where she was working?
I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it was Denver, Colorado.
Okay. And what informed your thoughts on that? How did you know that she was in Colorado or possibly out of the state working?
Because she has mentioned working in that region several times.
Okay. All right, Your Honor, I would like to admit this or offer for admission P2.
No objection.
It's submitted.
I'm going to continue with the screen share. Mr. Riley. Let's see. Okay, so Mr. Riley, I'm going to pull this down and I'm going to open up what I've marked as plaintiff's exhibit 3. You mentioned that you had to purchase a flight to Jacksonville. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. At the time that you purchased the flight, did you have an address to where Alicia was?
No. I just went and purchased it. In the rationale that, I believe that Leshayra would do what's in best interest of the child.
I'm sorry, Mr. Riley, you froze for a second.
Yeah.
I didn't hear what you said before, the best interest of the child.
Yeah, I said I purchased a ticket. Me and her was discussing. I had mentioned to her about getting Alicia. And so I just purchased the ticket in hopes that she would do what was the best interest for the child, because I actually sent her screenshots of, missing assignments and missing assignments from the teacher, and the teacher saying, hey, can Alicia get, these assignments caught up? These are really old assignments. So I went and purchased tickets saying, hey, I needed to make sure that, I've gotten Alicia. And so this was the plane ticket to, it was actually Orlando, and I was going to actually drive to Jacksonville. And that was on a Saturday. And then the very next day on a Sunday, me and Alicia was catching a plane back from Orlando to Atlanta.
Okay. And so, and I'm sharing the screen. So this is marked as Plaintiff's Exhibit 3. And so does this accurately reflect the confirmation for your book ticket to Florida to pick up
Yes.
Alicia?
Yes.
Judge, I'd like to admit P3 into evidence, or move to admit P3 into evidence.
No objection.
It's admitted.
All right. Okay, Mr. Riley, and then you mentioned that you actually went ahead and canceled the flight that you had booked to pick up Alicia. If you can see my screen, this is marked as P4. Does this accurately reflect the confirmation for the cancellation?
Yes, this is the cancellation, and it provides the flight details coming back on Sunday, the 17th. And there you see myself and Alicia on the plane ticket. But this is actually the cancellation after Ms. Goodram would not provide me an address to pick up Alicia at that time.
Okay. All right. Judge, I move to admit P4 into evidence.
No objection.
P4 is admitted.
Okay, and Mr. Riley, and so moving on, Miss Goodram eventually went to pick up Alicia from Florida and brought her to you. Is that correct?
Yes, she eventually did. Probably 2 weeks after that incident, she did bring her to me, and she actually went back out of town for about another 2 weeks. So I actually had Alicia for 2 additional weeks, two weeks consistently to get her caught up.
Okay, and you did, and were you able to get her caught up on her assignment?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And you indicated that that you have some safety concerns in regards to Alicia. Can you explain to the court what some of those concerns are?
Yeah, so just the concerns, like I mentioned, it was one time I was actually on the phone with Alicia during school hours, and a stranger actually walked into the door, and kind of startled Alicia while we were, going over schoolwork. Leshera mentioned that it was, and the maintenance, the guy actually left out because there was no adult present. I actually contacted Leshera, and she mentioned it was maintenance, a maintenance guy. So, I mean, that's, just one element of concern that, I may have. It can be just, anybody coming in the door. Other safety concern would be just the fact that, it's late and there's no adult supervision, instructing my child to actually, do what's necessary for, to get preparation for the next school day. Like go to, take a shower, go to bed, just all that, parenting stuff that I've seen that there's a lack of.
So you heard opposing counsel indicate that the daughter who's supervising your daughter, who's 9 years old, she's 16.
Correct.
Is she a responsible person to supervise your daughter, Alicia?
Well, I've seen you know, multiple times where Alicia is just in one room, and she's nowhere to be found. Because I am, you know, Alicia says she's there, but, you know, she's not directing her to, you know, do the necessary things, you know, like I said, if it's late, for preparation to, you know, take a shower, go to bed, things in that nature. I mean, you know, she's there as a person to look after her, but, you know, I mean, she's still a juvenile. So, you know, it's certain things that, you know, parental things that, you know, she's, you know, just not equipped to do.
Are you aware of any interaction with the police that the young lady has had?
Yes. So it's been it's been an incident where a detective has contacted me about the juvenile in question actually, you know, running away from home.
Object to the hearsay, Your Honor.
Yeah, you can't tell us somebody else said that's not here.
Okay.
Your Honor, I'm going to share a screen. Again. Okay, I'm going to share a screen of police report, incident investigation report with the Sandy Springs Police Department. Mr. Riley, are you able to see my screen?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Objection, Your Honor. He cannot authenticate this document. And it's still hearsay. It's just written hearsay. He's not the author of this document, so there is no foundation.
Judge, there is a business records exception. This is an incident investigation report from the Sandy Springs Police Department of an account by Miss Goodram, who provided an account. Miss Goodram can testify to what she reported in this incident report.
I'll let it in.
Okay, Mr. Riley, I'm going to scroll down to the reporting officer narrative. I'll need to see if I can enlarge it a little bit so you can see a little bit better. Okay.
And Your Honor, so are we letting it in as a business record? Because we still have a narrative. Ms. Goodram did not write this. So not assuming, we're taking the contents as being truthful when I don't have the opportunity to cross-examine the author of this document. And this is I'm trying to think, I don't think the business record exception permits this in a civil case.
Well, what we could do is take it because it's a runaway juvenile report. Am I right?
So yes, Judge, and the
Sorry, I
complainant
can't hardly
is
read it. It's kind of did. So if it's Miss Goodram, I will take it. I'll admit it in evidence for the sake of the simple thing that she made a runaway juvenile report. Whatever it says there, and you know, in the narrative is the police officer's interpretation of what she said. So then Ms. Feliciano can question Ms. Goodram on why she made this report. But I'll take it as a business record that Ms. Goodram did make a police report of a runaway juvenile.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. So it's admitted under those. And this is P.
And this is P5. Yes, Judge.
P5? Okay.
So, Mr. Riley, and I'll be very, very careful with the questioning. Are you aware of an incident where the 16-year-old that supervises your daughter, where she has run away from home?
Yes.
Okay. And how many times are you aware that she's run away?
Once.
Okay. And you and Ms. Goodram, you were previously involved in a relationship, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, you lived with Ms. Goodram, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And she has an older daughter as well, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have personal knowledge of that child running away from home?
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to stop the screen share. This has been admitted. Okay, and so do you have any safety concerns with regard to an individual who's run away from home on multiple occasions, supervising Alicia?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I'm not sure, what's going on with that juvenile. So, I want to be, very careful on making sure that, Alicia is in the best, in the safest environment as possible, in the safest and stable environment as possible.
Okay. Are you aware of Ms. Goodram leaving Alicia with her, and she's her older sister, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Are you aware of Ms. Goodram leaving her in her care for days at a time?
I am not aware of multiple days. No.
Okay. So so you're not sure whether she's left her for any days at a time or weeks at a time or anything like that?
Correct. I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. And you also mentioned that you have some concerns in regards to Alicia's the medical attention that she's been provided. Can you explain to the court what those concerns are?
You said the medical attention?
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah. So there has been multiple incidents that has led me to question Leshera on how she cares for Alicia medically. There has been times when I have had to step in and make sure that she's going to her dentist appointments regularly, because she's had multiple cavities and things filled that I needed to make sure that gets done. Also, just making sure she goes to her routine checkups. There's also been a time that Alicia actually fell and had a head injury, where her entire head was swollen. And it was 2 days had passed in Leshera's care where she had that head swelling injury. When I actually picked her up, I noticed the her head injury, and I immediately took her to the emergency room.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. You can finish your statement.
Yeah, and I said, and in that time, I discovered that there was no medical insurance that Leshera had, and so I actually had to pay out the pocket for that medical emergency. And thereafter, I made sure that I had medical insurance myself to cover Alicia.
So Alicia didn't have medical insurance when she was involved in the accident?
No, she didn't.
Okay. Did you speak with Ms. Goodram in regards to her not having insurance?
Yeah, so I asked Ms. Goodram to provide me, the insurance, because I was going to take her to the emergency room, and she said no, she didn't have any.
Did she indicate to you why she didn't have insurance?
She said it was too expensive on her.
Okay. And does Alicia have insurance now?
Yes, she does.
Okay. And who provides that insurance?
I do.
Okay. And who takes Alicia to the doctor?
I do.
Okay. Who takes her to the dentist?
I do.
Okay. Who schedules her appointments?
I do.
Okay. And does Ms. Goodram ever take her to the doctor or to the dentist?
No.
I'm going to do a screen share. Let's see. I've marked this as P6. Do you recognize the individual that's in this picture, Mr. Riley?
I don't see any, okay.
Yes, so that was Alicia with with her head injury 2 days after the incident occurred. As you can see, the forehead in between her eyebrows are swollen pretty badly. So they said it actually went down drastically within those 2 days. But just the fact that it was fluid that was on her head, I wanted to make sure that she actually went to the doctor.
Okay. And so when you were seeking treatment, you indicated that she didn't have insurance. So did you and Ms. Goodram have to pay out of pocket for that care?
Yes, I had to pay out of pocket.
Okay, so Ms. Goodram did not contribute to that.
No.
Okay. And so was Alicia okay with this incident?
Yeah, she turned out that they said it was just a little fluid. They just prescribed her just some ibuprofen and for the swelling to go down. So thankfully it wasn't nothing drastically with the head injury.
Okay. Did Ms. Goodram advise you what happened to Alicia and how she got this fluid on her head?
It was pretty vague. And she was saying that she was on the bed and fell and hit her head on the window ledge, I believe.
Okay. And you don't have any reason to believe that it would be anything other than her fault, right?
Yes, I don't have any reason.
Okay.
It's only Alicia's fault.
Okay. Judge, I would like to tender P6.
No objection.
It's admitted, and I do see that when it noted that the bump on her head did not affect her ability to be a ham when there's a picture being taken.
Right.
Yeah.
That was definitely not affected by the bump on the head.
She's a cutie. All right. And Mr. Riley, you previously indicated, we've kind of spoke at length about or testified at length about teachers contacting you in regards to missing assignments or missing classes. Can you inform the court a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I have been in the primary contact person for all of Alicia's teachers, even prior to the pandemic, where I have been the one that has been instructing Alicia what to do, teaching her, just different fundamentals for her developmental growth. And like I said, been to every parent conference, every Zoom conference meeting with all of Alicia's teachers.
Okay. Is Ms. Goodram on those Zoom calls as well?
No. I mean, some of the parent conference prior to the pandemic, yes, she would actually go. But like I said, I was the primary person, and a lot of times I would even notify her and tell her that on this particular day we had there was a conference, or on this particular day there was a Zoom conference, or instructing her on what assignments are due. And even when she was with her in her care, telling her, okay, this, what particular assignments are due, what she's doing at that current time. So yes, I have been the primary person for Alicia's academic success.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, who registers Alicia for school?
In the past, I have registered Alicia for school. just now Alicia is more on a reoccurring. She's been going to her current school now for the past 2 years.
Mhm.
So it's not. It's more just, as long as you're going to that same school, they will consistently register you for that particular school. So, but in the past, I have registered her for school.
Okay, so she's 9 years old. So which grades did you register for her, if you recall?
I registered her for preschool all the way through second grade.
Okay. And then from second grade, it's just a automatic registration.
Well, so after second grade, I actually relocated and I did not register her for school. I requested Lera to register her for school. And this is when what I was saying, she had gotten upset that I didn't register her for school. And so she denied me the right to even know where she was going to school, where she was attending the school for about almost 2 months.
Okay. How did you find out where she attended school?
Well, Alicia, when I wound up getting it, one of Alicia's folders where I seen where, the school that she was attending. And then I went down to the school myself and got onto the, met with the teacher, got access to all, Alicia's information, just so I can be informed.
Okay. All right, I'm going to do a screen share. Let's see. Okay. All right, Mr. Riley. Okay, so I've marked this as P7. Mr. Riley, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
All right, can you tell me what this message depicts?
Yeah, so this is Alicia's teacher last year, her third grade teacher. And it's letting me know that, or she's letting me know that Alicia has some work that needs to be done and just requesting for it to be completed.
Okay.
And
Do you
just,
know whether Ms. Goodram got the same message?
yes, so she didn't get this particular message because this is a message that was directed towards me. Like I said, I am the I was the person. I am the person that she actually goes to for Alicia assignments, on all the calls. So she did not get this directly, but this was under when she was in care. I believe this was the time that she was actually in Jacksonville.
Mhm.
And so I sent Lera a screenshot of this actual message and saying, hey, this is what Alicia needs to do. Can you make sure that this gets done?
Okay. You didn't share this message with the grandmother, correct?
No, I don't have the grandmother's contact.
Okay. All right. And then the next message I've marked as P8. Do you recognize this message?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me what this message depicts?
So that message is Alicia's music teacher is saying that she has that she actually has missed some time from her class, and as well as have some missed assignments that need to be completed.
And did you share this with Ms. Goodram?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And so how did you share? Did you call Ms. Goodram or advise her? How did you advise her that she had missing classes and missing assignments?
I took screenshots of each of these messages and sent them to her.
Okay. And then this screen has been marked as P9. Does this, can you look at this message and tell me what these messages depict?
Yes, if I can. Well, I know.
I'm sorry, counsel, I can't read them.
Okay, let me try to enlarge them for you.
Has P8 been admitted?
So Your Honor, will tender P7 and P8.
And that was
That's
Ms. Baker and Ms.
Ms.
Song.
Baker and Ms. Song.
No objection.
They're admitted. And P6 was admitted also. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Riley, can you see the messages? It's this P9.
Yes.
Okay, can you tell me what these messages depict?
Yeah. So the first message to the far left is me just sending that snippet of Miss Baker's request for Alicia to complete assignments and saying that she's missing assignments. And that is me actually letting LaShayra know the reason why I need her here and instead of Jacksonville. I need her here because the teachers are calling me in regard to missing assignments that are needing to be done.
All right.
The one right next to it was me, and this was prior to her going to Jacksonville, but this is me, in LaShayra's care, just letting her know to make sure Alicia gets, schoolwork, her schoolwork assignments done, and instructing her where to go to have her to get the assignments done. Right. She's just acknowledging my response.
Okay.
And then the second message is, just letting her know there's multiple assignments. And that needs to get done. And then she's saying, she checked and there's nothing. And I'm just letting her know, directing her to where she needs to go for those assignments.
Okay. What is the platform that Alicia's school uses for, I guess, parents updates?
Well, it's a platform. It's a Fulton County web platform, and in that platform, you have multiple places where you have it, where they have assignments laid out. One is a platform called Seesaw. It's more interactive, where kids actually have their assignments, math assignments, and just other interactive assignments for the kids while they're, while they're on virtual learning. The other one is the iReady, which is more of a reading-based assignments that, keeps the kid interactive and build their learning skills, their reading skills.
Okay. I would move, Judge, to admit P9.
No
Any
objection.
objection? All right, it's
No.
admitted.
Okay. Mr. Riley, what is your profession?
I am an accountant.
Okay. And are you currently working from home?
I am working from home part-time, partly. So I'm 3 days working from home and 2 days working in the office.
Okay. Is there a reason why you feel like your schedule is more conducive to Alicia and providing for her needs as opposed to Ms. Goodram?
Yes, well, because it's at my household, it's a dual effort. So when I am not able to be at home to care for Alicia, my wife is here. And she's equally involved in Alicia's life and equally involved in Alicia's assignment to make sure it gets done.
Okay. And we've heard Ms. Riley testify that she and Ms. Goodram have a really good relationship. Is that accurate?
Yes, yes, they you know, have a good relationship where, you know, they can you know, kind of come to a consensus on, you know, what's the you know, for the best interest of the child.
Okay. Okay. And so you've mentioned several things that you were concerned about. Do you have any other concerns as it relates to Ms. Goodram being able to parent Alicia? Whereas you feel like you're better equipped to parent Alicia on a full-time basis?
Well, I say the only other thing are, you know, is just the element, you know, I'll just all the other stuff, the other nuance. You know, I actually have a child that another child that's a year older than Alicia, and they you know, interact very well together. Me and Alicia, you know, and our family, we also do, you know, a lot of activities outside of the house. We have a a great neighborhood where you know, they are able to, you know, ride their bikes and, you know, do a lot of physical activity versus, you know, being in, you know, Alicia is more in the home more at Lashera's because she's in the apartment. Also, you know, our you know, in my neighborhood, in my area, the schools are a lot better. So Alicia is able to get, you know, the best fundamental education, you know, as possible. So I think those are, you know, just other reasons why, you know, I would, you know, I'm requesting that Alicia, you know, lives with me full time.
Okay. All right, no further questions, Judge.
All right. Cross, Ms. Jackson?
May I take a break, Judge, before I do this cross?
Sure, sure. A 5-minute break is to be good?
Yes, yes. Thank you, Judge.
Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break.
this.
Mute, Ms. Goodram, mute yourself.
Okay.
Okay. Whatever, Miss Feliciano, Mr. Riley, get back on. Right, Mr. Riley, if you'll take yourself off mute, Ms. Jackson will have some questions for you.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Jackson.
Thank you. Mr. Riley, isn't it true that Alicia has always been on the honor roll? Always had A's and B's?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Now, all of the messages that your attorney provided as exhibits concerning assignments where you were emailed by the teachers, all of those conversations occurred during the pandemic, correct?
Yes.
And you testified that, I guess, based on conversations, you assumed that Miss Goodram was working out of state, but you don't have any independent evidence that she ever worked out of the state, correct?
Well, in the text messages, I do have where she says she's working, away from home. Yes. And the fact that she's actually told me that she was working out of the state, in the summers. It started first in the summer times, but then during the pandemic, when she was able to, when the kids were on virtual learning, that she was able to work out of state a little more.
So you're testifying under oath that Miss Goodram told you she worked out of the state?
Yes. She
Where?
did.
Where?
Well, I know several times she mentioned Denver, Colorado.
Are you sure she didn't mention to you that she was perhaps looking at taking a job, a job out of state?
She did mention taking the job out of state, but this was after multiple times, I guess, working out of the state, that she mentioned actually moving to, I guess, where she was working at that time.
Now, the picture that you provided, P6 of Alicia, she was what, 6 years old at the time, right? This is over 3 years ago, right?
She was 7.
It's over 3 years ago, that picture, right?
Almost, yes.
And you mentioned you registered her for school each and every time up until, I guess, the 2nd grade?
That is correct.
But isn't it true that Miss Goodram was there with you at registration each and every time?
No, she wasn't. No.
And why would you register her? Who made the decision that you would register her?
Well, she was actually going to a school that was in my, next to my apartment that I was staying at the time. So we made the decision because that was the school that she was going to, that I registered her at pre-K. And so we just made it consistent where she was going there through the time that I vacated my apartment.
And the conversation and the plane ticket that you bought, that occurred during the pandemic, correct?
Yes.
And you wanted to put Alicia, the child, on a plane during the pandemic, and Ms. Goodram did not want that to happen, correct?
It didn't correlate with the pandemic. It wasn't because of the pandemic. It was because she didn't at the time want me to be the primary person that was there that had Alicia, for those multiple months. So like I said, she was actually a little afraid that I would actually come to the court and say, and let, the court know that, I've had Alicia for X number of months.
Okay, so she never expressed to you her concern about having Alicia flying on a plane?
No, she did not. No, she did not. Because if she did, then I would have made arrangements to rent a car and just drive down.
Can we see P1, please?
Would you just like me to share it on my screen, or how would you like to do this? Because I emailed you the exhibits yesterday. I don't mind sharing it on the screen if that's what you want me to do.
Well, he needs to be able to see it, so yes.
Okay, sure.
She was asking if you wanted to share it on your screen or you wanted her to do it.
Oh, please, if you would, Miss Feliciano.
Sure. This is P6, correct?
I think it's P1.
P1, okay.
I kind of see both parties kind of, it looks like that they're talking to people that are in the room with them. Let's not do that. Nope, 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 nope. That is not allowed. Eye contact, shaking heads, writing notes, no contact with it. Nobody should be in the room with you just to be safe. If they're a baby, I get it, but because you can't really ask them questions, but anybody that you can talk to should not be in the room. I apologize, Ms. Jackson, go ahead.
All right, can I take control of it?
No, I believe that once it's on my screen, you wouldn't have control of it. You would need to share it on your screen.
Just scroll up, please, so I can.
Sure.
Okay. Now, thank you. This is Miss Goodram's response, correct, Mr. Riley, to your, yes, to you informing her about a plane ticket. And she says in this, I mean, it speaks for itself, but she does say that there is too much going on right now, correct?
Yes, she did.
So does that refresh your recollection in terms of the conversation? You all also had a conversation around this, not just these text messages, correct?
Yes, but the thing is that this was after I actually purchased the plane tickets and just inform her that I did have plane tickets. But prior to this, I was just requesting for me to pick Alicia up. I did not stress the, modes of transportation on me getting her.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Feliciano. You can take it down. And you've always had access to Alicia by cell phone, correct?
On some occasions, but no, not always. No.
You mean when her phone wasn't charged?
Yes, when her phone wasn't charged, or it's been times when her phone might have been charged, but she just didn't answer the phone.
Okay,
And that's the only mode of communication that I do have with her. It's just her cell phone. I didn't have any contact with any other adult at that time.
I understand what you're saying, but my point is you have always had access to your child at a minimum with her through her cell phone, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And that's the cell phone Ms. Goodram bought and for her, correct?
correct.
How many times would you say you took her to the doctor or the dentist prior to the pandemic?
Oh, it was on a recurring basis. I've taken her to the dentist every 6 months for cleaning or when she had to get fillings. So this was all prior to the pandemic that I was actually doing this.
Okay, that's the dentist. I hear you. Every 6 months. So you took her to the dentist twice a year.
Well,
That's your testimony.
at least twice a year for a routine. But when she had cavities or whatever, I would actually take her in between that time, and as well as the doctor, I would take her. I've taken her when she was 7 to get an exam, and as well as I've taken her, just periodically. I know I had to take her one time to get a physical, and actually had to take her the time when she had a bruise on her head.
Okay, so that's 3 times. You took her once when she was 7 and you took her another time to get a physical.
Yeah.
Okay. You indicated that the schools in your neighborhood were better. Which schools in particular are you talking about? What's the name of those schools? What are the names?
Kelly Mill Elementary. School. Kelly.
Uh-huh.
Kelly Mill Elementary. Is rated 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 versus the school that she's in now is a Title I school.
And who made the 8 out of 10 rating?
That's just the rating for the state of Georgia. So they have a rating system scale that each school is rated. And
where did you find that rating system?
If you go to the school registry data for the state of Georgia, you will see each of the school ratings. I don't have the specific site in my head, but it's out there. It's public records of all the schools that are on Title I, all the schools that are rated in their ratings.
No, I don't. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. So you Googled something apparently to find this rating. Did you not? Is that
Yeah.
how you found it?
Yeah. Yes, I did.
What did you Google?
I don't have it. Like I said, I can't remember it verbatim. But I can definitely provide that information. Fairly simple.
Okay, so when did you Google this? When did you find this information?
A few months ago.
Now, so I want to, and also when you say Ms. Goodram had a fight with your sister, both of them went to jail, correct?
Yes.
And Ms. Goodram was the one that called the police, correct?
Yes, she did.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it was my sister actually called the police. So both of them actually called the police on each other.
Okay. And I want to be clear, when you say Alicia is in her room, you're not insinuating she was home alone on these occasions. That's not true, right? You don't have any information that she was home alone, correct?
At times, no, I don't have any information. Like I said, when it was pretty late, I didn't have any information that she was home alone, but she was home unsupervised. Meaning she didn't have proper directions on what she needed to do for preparation for the next school day.
Okay, you mentioned that several times, this occasion when you had to tell her to take a shower. Is that what we're talking about now?
Yeah, take a shower, get to bed because it's a school night.
I get it. I understand. So that's one occasion when you had to tell her to take a shower and get ready for school, right?
No, it's been multiple occasions.
Really?
Yeah, it's been.
How many times?
I can't, pinpoint the amount of times, but I know it's been several times when this has occurred.
How she called you at this late hour, or you called her?
Either one. I mean, she might call me. Like I said, we're in consistent communication. She wants to know what's going on here, or if I hadn't talked to her to see what's going on with her day. Work did she cover today? So it'd be something like that. So it's just she would call me, I would call her, but then it would be, like I said, it would be times when a lot of times when it's that late, she might call me. And
how late is that late?
Well, when I'm saying that late, it's past the 9 o'clock. And, I might talk with her for, a few minutes and say, well, Lisa, it's time to, get ready for bed, is your mom there? And she says, no. So, okay, well, make sure you go take a shower and then call me back. She takes a shower and call me back. And then I say, okay, well, we would talk for a while, and then, her bedtime here is 9:30. So at 9:30, I'm telling her, okay, go ahead and just get into bed. And it's time to go to bed. So it's just things like that. Like I said, it's I'm not sure if she's home alone. I can't confirm that, but I can confirm that she's unsupervised.
And when did these telephone calls occur? When it was late and she called you and you feel as if she was unsupervised? When did these conversations take place?
It was during school nights.
When? What year?
Oh, this has been an ongoing thing for multiple years.
Now, you filed this action for a change of custody, but not one time did you mention that the child was in some kind of physical peril, not being supervised, correct? You never mentioned that in your petition. Even, correct?
In the petition?
Yes.
No, I didn't mention that.
Right. But you say it's been years that the child is alone and unsupervised, but you never mentioned that as a reason for a change of custody, correct?
No.
Okay. Did you ever send an email or a text to Ms. Goodram, like the emails that you shared with your attorney and that we've seen here today? Did you ever send her an email or a text saying, Ms. Goodram, why are you leaving our child unattended and unsupervised?
It was on a call, and I probably do have text. If I just scroll through, I probably do have text saying, just letting her know that Alicia is home alone and where is she at. So yes.
Well, can you, I'll ask to recall you later, but when I'm questioning Ms. Goodram, if you could please do those scrolls and come up with those texts, okay?
Okay, I'll try.
All right. And I think that's it, Judge, for now.
Okay, any redirect?
I have a few questions on redirect.
Okay.
Mr. Riley, do you recall when the pandemic began?
Yes, March of 2020.
2020, okay. And you had Alicia the entire year, pretty much, during that time while Ms. Goodram was working. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I had a prior to the pandemic, and as well as and definitely more after the pandemic had actually ensued.
Okay. And then you didn't file this petition until February of this year, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so you've had physical custody all of last year, but you didn't file for modification at that time, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, and you were still paying child support to Ms. Goodram during that time, right?
Yes, it was.
Okay, and so you didn't try to modify custody in 2020 when you had Alicia. Can you tell the court why that is?
Well, the fact is, I didn't want to kind of rock the boat. I wanted to make sure Alicia actually, I was fine with the paying the child support, as long as Alicia was with me and I was able to provide and get her work done. That's all that that's ultimately that was the only thing that mattered.
Okay. So you didn't file for this modification until after Alicia was taken from the state. Is that correct?
After Alicia was taken from the state, and Ms. Goodram stressed that she was looking to relocate.
Okay. All right. And so just real quick, what are Alicia's doctor's names?
Her primary care doctor is Dr.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Her
He hasn't
primary,
said the name yet.
yeah, her primary care doctor is Dr. Veras. That's who she's been going with since she was at birth. So that is her primary care doctor. That's the doctor who has been getting her physicals and stuff like that. She goes to the dentist dental in Johns Creek. That's where she gets most of her care.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, anything else, Ms. Jackson?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, you want to, anything else, Ms. Feliciano?
I don't have anything else for Mr. Wiley right now.
Go ahead, Ms. Jackson.
I call Ms. Goodram, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Goodram, you've been previously sworn. You can take yourself off mute.
Yes.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Jackson.
Hi, good morning. Ms. Goodram, you heard Mr. Riley's testimony in terms of him having Alicia in his care before the pandemic and all last year. Please explain to the court where Alicia was and who was caring for her the year prior to the pandemic and what occurred during the pandemic.
Prior to the pandemic, Alicia was living with me full-time on a regular basis, with Mr. Riley having every other Thursday through half of Monday drop-off pickup. That was the routine before the pandemic. After the pandemic, it began around March. I went home in March where she—
Where is home?
I'm sorry?
Where is home?
Here in Atlanta. I work for Northside Hospital. I've been with Northside since 2015.
Okay, continue with March when the pandemic began. What happened with your job situation and with Alicia?
Okay, prior to the pandemic, March, Alicia was with me full time. March came, I started to do work from home for about to May, and then we had to go back into the office. Alicia was home with me every day during that time. She was in third grade at the time, kind of going into the third grade year. So she was with me the entire time. After May, I had to come back into the office for work. System problems that we were having here, system problems, so everyone had to return back into the office. So during that time period, I would get up in the morning, go to work. My older daughter would be here along with Alicia. And then I have my eldest daughter, who is 21, also come by and check on them every day.
Where does she live?
She lives in Atlanta.
Okay, and the middle daughter, what is her name?
Her name is Lera Goodram.
Okay, and what kind of, we heard Mr. Riley confirm that Alicia has been an honor roll student, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's throughout her school?
Throughout her school career.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and the middle child, what kind of grades does she get?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you cut out.
Your middle child, what kind of grades does she get?
She is a honor roll, honor student, academic honor achiever, AP classes, college classes, as well as my eldest daughter. All of them are academically excellent.
And did the oldest child attend college? Is she in college?
Yes, she attends college.
Where?
She was at the University of North Florida.
Okay, and what kind of grades did she get?
She gets straight A's. They all get straight A's.
Okay, all right. Now you heard Mr. Riley talk about Alicia's healthcare, that he takes her to the dentist all the time, twice a year and in between. Explain her healthcare situation.
Basically, I pay out of pocket for their health insurance for my middle daughter as well as Alicia. I have a flex spending account that I use. What I take them. It's basically, my job gives me, it's a health flex spending account. So basically they give me $3,000 to use towards health coverage or health benefits. And in return, they take it out of a percentage out of my check. So basically they have health insurance. I would take her to the eye doctor. She goes to Dr. Baszler for her eye exams, which is in Johns Creek. She goes to Dr. Verez, who's in Tucker, Georgia. She's been going there since she was born. The second day out of the hospital, that's where she's been since. As far as dental, she was going to Children's Dental of Atlanta, which is in Dunwoody. So I paid out of pocket for all those expenses. Mr. Riley did not start taking Alicia to the dentist until, as you have into evidence, July of 2020. That's the time that Mr. Riley has Alicia during those summer months.
Okay, so I'm understanding you correctly. First of all, how long is his summer vacation, visitation time?
Usually prior to this court order, we just agreed that he would keep her from the end of school. We had our own little thing from the day after school got out, which is around May 25th, until 2 days before school start to give him a little bit more time. Our court order specifies that it's from June to July 31st, from from June 1st to July 31st. However, we just agreed, we didn't go through it. We just kind of, okay, you have it during the summer and I get it back when school begins. I buy all her school uniforms, school shoes, school supplies, pay for lunches. I pack lunches. I do everything for her.
Okay, so I know he pointed out he took her to the doctor once when she was 7. Do you know?
Yeah, I do know why he took her to the doctor. That particular day, she had a doctor's appointment scheduled. I had some meetings at work and I could not take her to the doctor, and I asked if he could. I'm here in Atlanta by myself. If we're co-parenting, then we co-parent. So some of that responsibility should be on Mr. Riley, to take her to simple doctor's appointments.
Okay, do you know of any other occasion? He mentioned that one when she was 7.
That was the only doctor's appointment that he's took her since we've been separated.
Okay. And the testimony about the school work and the assignments, would you explain to the court what your position is on that?
Yes, ma'am. The beginning of the school year that we're talking about of 2020, her being in 3rd grade at that particular time, I was home with her. The beginning of school started in August. Her first teacher for the first half of the semester was Mr. Herman, was her 3rd grade teacher. Mr. Herman no longer was doing virtual, so they switched her in the middle of the school year to another virtual teacher, which was Mrs. Baker. However, I was not getting any correspondence from Mrs. Baker due to the fact that Mr. Riley was first on the email address from her teacher or the school record for some reason. So that's why he was beginning to get all the correspondence from Mrs. Baker. Prior to that, I was in constant communication with the first semester teacher, which was Mr. Herman.
Okay. Now, let's talk about you. Have you ever, first of all, have you ever worked outside of the state of Georgia?
No, ma'am, I've never worked outside the state of Georgia.
Okay, you say you work for Northside. Is that one particular location where you work, or do you move around the state?
Northside is an Atlanta-based hospital, and I am employed with Northside Hospital. However, Northside has other locations that I'm on a subcontract building with Northside, which means that I'm not exactly at the hospital, but I'm in their business office.
But that's always here in Georgia.
Yes, ma'am, always in Georgia.
Does it take you away from the home days at a time?
No, ma'am. I'm up in the morning to work, 8 hours back in the evening.
In the same home?
In
your
the
home?
same household with my children. Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever left them home alone all night?
No, ma'am, never.
You heard the testimony that he is called, or she called him late at night, and he had to tell her to take a shower and get ready for bed. Do you have any information about that?
Yes.
Those conversations?
I do, and we have a problem with that because Mr. Riley will call Alicia at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. In my household, her bedtime is 8:30. So she is supposed to be in the bed at 8:30. However, he will call her and it'll be 9:30, and he's talking to her on the phone. And then I have to say, Alicia, why, who are you on the phone with? She's on the phone with her dad. I don't know, like I had to tell him that, you know, her bedtime is a certain time. And so he began to back off from not calling that late. But prior to, yes, he would call 9:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Okay. He indicated that he registered her for school each and every time, and you were not always present.
No,
What-
ma'am. Each time that we register her for school, we were both there. All the documents mostly have my handwriting on them. Even when we registered for her for Dunwoody Springs Elementary, I was there. I did all the signing of the documents in the front office.
Okay. Have you ever missed registering Alicia?
No.
And what happened with when she hit her head?
She's in gymnastics. So she's in a rambunctious state where she would tumble, and she tumbled one day off the bed. And when she did, how the bed is designed, it has like a little hook over the bed. And so she scraped her face on it because she was like doing little, I guess, cop bends or wheels over on the bed. And I had initially told her, don't do that. You're going to end up hurting yourself. And she did it again, and she hit her face. And prior to that, Mr. Riley didn't have to take her to the doctor because that was my week that I had her. So I took care of her. The following week, she went to his house. So she was very well taken care of. I have first aid and CPR. I'm certified in that area. So I know how to take care of my kids in a situation where they injure or hurt themselves. I'm not unaware or don't know how to respond to those situations.
Okay. Tell us about this plane ticket. And I know you all had a conversation or two prior to these text messages that we saw, correct?
I never had any knowledge of him purchasing a plane ticket until the day he sent those text messages that he purchased plane tickets.
Okay. You all had conversations prior to that about where Alicia was, what was going on?
At that particular time, we went down for Christmas. I'm back working, kind of working from home. And I went down to Florida where my family is. I don't have any family here, no one. So basically we're all virtual. My daughter's school virtual, I'm working virtually. So I wanted to spend time with my family. My mom then right after Christmas got sick. So it was like I was trying to help take care of her and be there and be supportive and be there with my mom because I didn't know what the condition was at that particular time. I was always there, always accessible, and Mr. Riley's always had access to her. She has an iPhone, he has an iPhone, so he's able to video chat, talk to her on the phone, was never a restriction. And if you can look at the notes, I always said I've never kept her from you. In exhibit P1, I've never kept her from him.
Right. But it's looking at the notes, it seems the text messages, it seemed as if you had some concerns about her flying. Is that correct?
I did have great concern about her flying because we were in the middle of a pandemic, getting on planes, touching things. I'm just a germaphobe at nature. So I didn't want her to get on a plane and get sick and bring back something home because the following week she would have been back with me. So just to avoid that, I told him, give me some time. Let me, I didn't explain the situation, but my mom was sick and I was trying to deal with that. And in that message, I stated to him that I will bring her to you and you'll get a chance to see her, once everything cleared up.
Okay, and you heard his wife testify, correct?
I did.
And what do you have an issue with in terms of what she said?
I did not state to the fact of Alicia living with them on a permanent basis. During that time, I had got offered a job with a different company, which would have moved me to Oregon, working for the state of Oregon. Before I even signed the offer, I had the offer, was going to pay me extremely well, 6 figures. And you have documents of what I make now. So this position would have put me in a place financially to make 6 figures. And so I was excited, happy about it. I brought it to my older children, my older daughter's father, and he was cool with it. So I said, well, let me bring it to Mr. Riley's attention to see how he'd feel about me, getting this job, moving to better myself. And he said no. And I was like, okay. I said, well, maybe we should go and do a modification because I really want to take this job. I did have a conversation with his wife about, just talking to him and letting him, level out a little bit about the tight grip about the custody. It's always ways that we can go about co-parenting, him being able to see her, and things of that nature. So I did state to her that, I want to take this job. Mike doesn't want me to, or Mr. Riley doesn't want me to take the job, but could you talk to him? I said, maybe we could work something out for a little while where she's still in school and then I get set up and then she comes to live with me and maybe she can come during the summer breaks a little longer, as well as Christmas breaks, any school breaks that, we would have, I would, pay for her to come back to see him. I would pay for the flights for her to come back to see him. And she said, well, I'll talk to him about it. And I said, please do, because I really want, to take this job. So he, had a fit about it. And, her and I kind of talked about it. And so I didn't take the job because I didn't want any conflict.
Okay. So I guess that's what he's talking about when he testified that, I guess he assumed that you were somewhere out of the state, but because you were talking about a job that you wanted to take.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you've never left the employ that you're in now since 2005. 2015, you've been.
Yes, ma'am. I'm still with them currently. Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever take a leave?
No, ma'am. Not a leave of absence. No.
Okay. And the apartment where you stay now, how long have you been there?
I've been in this apartment the exact same time, 2014, 15, prior to the first custody issue we had. So I've had the same job, same place.
Okay. But one thing she said that Miss Riley said that you felt Alicia would be comfortable.
I've never said that she would be better fit with him because, for one, she doesn't know how to do my daughter's hair properly. Number two, they don't dress her and have her up to par the way that I do. I'm very particular about my appearance as well as my children's appearance. And could I add this as well? To just show Mr. Riley's inconsistent. Alicia was the week of the 4th with him. She went on Thursday to his house and on Friday gets off the bus and Mr. Riley was not there to pick her up from the bus. So she walked home and just luckily I was home that day. So that just shows Mr. Riley inconsistent. He's never on time. nor has he ever been consistent on picking up her on his custody days.
What do you mean?
Mr. Riley would say, well, I'm going out of town, and forfeits his visitation weekends.
How many times would you say he has forfeited them in the year
Dozens of times.
prior to the pandemic?
Prior to the pandemic.
And you're absolutely certain of that? He's
I
forfeited.
am very much certain. I have text messages where I am saying, are you picking her up, or calling his wife to see if she's going to be able to pick him up, because, you know, maybe I had to go out of town to see about my mom that weekend, and now I have to drag her along, you know, bring her with me. And then Sunday, he wants to show up and say, well, I didn't get visitation. So it's been numerous of times where he has not been consistent on his visitations.
Okay. So what are Alicia's grades at this time?
At this time, she's doing pretty well. I have a progress report that she's a superstar student for last month of August. So she did pretty well. She's also on the broadcast team, and also she's on the cheer dance team at her school. So she's very active at school.
Okay. Are they doing in-person school now, or are they still working?
She's doing in-person school. She goes to school every day. And also, Mr. Riley took her out of town last week or 2 weeks ago, and missed Friday school, which school had just started, and also was late the following Monday, which is his drop-off time. He actually dropped her off at 8:20 in the morning, which school starts at 7:40.
Okay, he dropped her off where? To school?
To school. That's how our arrangement is. He picks her up from school on Thursdays, anywhere before 6 o'clock, and I have to pick her up. The return is that he drops her off to school in the mornings.
Okay, so how did you find out she was late?
I received a phone call saying that she had missed more than one class. And so I called the school to verify, and she was not at school during that time period.
Okay. Anything else that I missed that you wanted to say?
Nothing at this time.
Okay. One minute, Judge.
Okay. Ms. Goodram, how far did the two of you live apart?
Initially, Mr. Riley and I lived in Sandy Springs. However, he purchased a home and moved to Cummins, Georgia, which is kind of a distance for me to have to, he's not there. He's not on a regular basis to come pick her up in a timely manner or drop her off to school because of the area that he lives in.
Right. So how far apart is it?
It takes me about 30-minute drive, 20 to 30 minutes.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Jackson. Do you have any more questions?
No, not at this time, Your Honor.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Feliciano.
Okay, so Ms. Goodram, your counsel in her opening stated that you did not take Alicia from the state. Is that not correct?
Well, it's not taking Alicia from the state because we were still a permanent resident of Georgia, and she also attended school in Georgia.
Okay, so you took her across state lines to Florida, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, did you drive her or did you fly her?
I drove.
Okay, and you stated that you took her to live you left her with your mother.
I did not leave her with my mother.
Okay,
That's Mr. Riley's perception.
Who did you leave her with in Florida?
I didn't leave her with anyone.
So are you saying that she never went to Florida?
That's not what I said.
Okay, can you clarify for me? Was Alicia in the state of Florida?
We were all in the state of Florida.
Okay, so Alicia was in the state of Florida. And did you bring Alicia?
We were
back to
visiting.
you? Did you
Visiting?
bring Alicia back to Georgia when you returned to Georgia?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so why would Mr. Riley purchase plane tickets to go pick Alicia up from Florida?
Mr. Riley just does things just to be manipulative.
Okay, so the text messages, you've seen the text messages that you've
I
sent
seen
back
them
forth.
and I responded and I know what they say verbatim.
Okay, and so you said that let her stay, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And where were you referring to her staying?
In Florida with me.
Okay, so you and Alicia both were in Florida. That's your testimony.
Yes.
Okay, for the entire duration that she was there.
Not the entire duration. Probably I came back 2 weeks prior to. So we were there during the Christmas break. We were there during the Christmas break and I came back up to work. And then I had a meeting that day and then I drove back down to Florida.
So you did in fact leave Alicia in the state of Florida.
I'm sorry.
You did leave Alicia in the state of Florida.
For like a day or two.
Okay, so just one sentence ago, you said you left her for 2 weeks.
No, I was there no ma'am, I was in Florida for about 2 weeks prior to me leaving to come back for a meeting.
Okay. When did Alicia return from Florida?
We came back on, I want to say it was like the 26th of January.
Okay, and when did Alicia go to the state of Florida?
Around Christmas time. Probably we left around the 24th, the day before Christmas.
Okay, and you are aware of this court's order that Mr. Riley gets visitation the day after Christmas, correct?
I am aware. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so during the time that she was in Florida, Mr. Riley was not able to visit with her. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, he was
Okay.
not. It was a family situation. Yes.
And so you left. Who did Alicia live with when she was in Florida?
We stayed at my mom's house.
When you left and came back to Georgia, who did Alicia live with? Who did she stay with?
Well, you're saying live and stay. Those are two different things. So what are you saying?
Whose home did she reside at when you left Florida to come to Georgia?
Where her residence is in Georgia. That's her residence.
Okay. So we're not speaking about her residence. I want to be clear with you, okay? And I want you to listen to my question. Who did Alicia live with when she was in Florida? Was it your mother?
We stayed with my mom.
Okay. And so you indicated that your mother is sick, is that right?
She has a heart condition. Yes, she does.
Okay. So while Alicia was in Florida with your mother and you were in Georgia, was your mother the only person that cared for Alicia?
No, she had her older sisters there.
So you left all of your children in Florida?
Just for a day or two for my meeting, yes.
Okay, so you drove back to Georgia to take a meeting.
Yes.
And then you immediately, the next day or so, you drove back to Florida.
Yes.
And then at what time did you return?
Return to where?
To return to Georgia.
We all came back when I told you maybe the 26th of January.
Okay. So Alicia was gone to Florida for over a month.
Yes, because I was caring for my mother.
Okay. But you left your mother who was sick with the children. Is that correct?
Where my dad was there. Yeah. I'm there to support my mom.
Okay. So, but you are aware that during that time that Alicia was in Florida, that Mr. Riley was not able to visit with him, his court-ordered visitation.
He was not able, but he had active communication via telephone as well as FaceTime.
And you indicated that you did not advise him beforehand that you was taking the child?
It was an emergency. No, I did not.
And when he asked that you return her, you did not return her?
No, I did not, because I didn't want to put her on a plane in the middle of a pandemic.
All right, and you mentioned that you work for Northside Hospital, is that correct?
That is correct.
All right, does Northside Hospital have a location in Colorado?
No, they don't.
Okay, do they
Not
have
that I'm aware of.
do they have a location in Oregon?
No,
Have you ever worked at any other Northside Hospital location?
no, that's, it's hard to explain because I don't work at the hospital, but I work for Northside in the business office. So it's still in Sandy Springs. It's located here in Atlanta, Georgia.
So where do you perform your work?
Currently, I work from home in my house in Sandy Springs.
And who resides with you at that home?
Myself and my 2 daughters,
Your 2 daughters, okay. And your 16-year-old daughter, can you give me her name again?
Ashlyn Goodram.
Ashley. All right. And so you are familiar with the report that you filed with the Sandy Springs Police Department about Ashlyn running away.
That's not what I stated to the officer, and I didn't state that she was a runaway.
Can you explain to the court and myself what you did state to the officer?
I will, and I can paint the scenario if you like.
Just want to know what you told the officer.
I told the officer that she usually goes to school in the morning, goes to the park because she has a class that starts at 10 a.m. in the morning because she's a honor student. And so that particular morning, she wanted to go to the park. And I told her she could not go to the park because she did not wash the dishes. That is exactly what I told the officer.
Okay. And do you recall reporting that she left the house without her shoes on?
That's not what I stated to the officer. That's his interpretation. What I stated to him is that I didn't know what shoes she had on because the tennis shoes that she usually wear, it was by the door. So I didn't know. She has plenty other shoes, but I didn't know what shoes she had on when they asked for a description.
Okay. And do you recall advising the officer that she has left before, that she's ran away before?
No, I've never said that she's ran away before because she's never ran away before. And I didn't report that as a runaway. I reported it as missing.
As a missing child?
As a missing child.
Okay. And this is the same daughter that supervises Alicia when you're not there. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Which she's a great child. She's an honor student, very articulate, very smart. All of my kids are very smart.
Okay. Have you ever worked outside of the state of Georgia?
No.
Okay. Have you traveled outside of the state of Georgia last year?
For work?
For any purpose?
Yeah, I travel all the time to Florida, where my family's from.
Okay. And have you traveled outside of Georgia for work?
No.
You mentioned that Alicia's bedtime is at 8:30, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you supervise her cell phone use?
Usually, yes.
Okay.
Except on weekends, I give her a little bit time.
Okay, you indicated that that Mr. Riley would call her. So is the phone where's the phone position when she's supposed to be sleeping?
She usually has it with her because her alarm is set on the phone for her to wake up the next day. So she usually has it on the nightstand by her bed.
Okay. And she's 9 years old, right?
Yes, she's 9.
Okay. And so she sets an alarm on her cell phone and the cell phone wakes her up in the morning.
No. I set the alarm for her to get up. I wake up as well. I get her up in the morning, get her dressed, get her prepared for school, fix her breakfast, fix her lunch, make sure her clothes are neat, make sure her hair is done. And I send her, actually, I don't put her on the bus. I actually go drive her to school, carpool every morning.
Okay. And so you indicated that once when Alicia had her injury to her head, you saw the photographs. Is that an accurate depiction of what her face looked like?
It did. She flipped off the bed and she scratched her face and in between her eye.
Okay. Did you see the swelling on her forehead?
It wasn't any swelling because she didn't hit her head. She just, the object stuck off the side of the bed and scratched her on the face. So it wasn't a head injury. It wasn't anything severe. It was just a scratch from where the metal of the bed hit her face from flipping off.
Okay, so you indicated that Mr. Riley was the one who took her to the doctor. Is there a reason?
No, he didn't. No, he did not. He did not take her to the doctor. She
Okay.
was with me the week. She was with me that entire week before Mr. Riley had his visitation.
Okay.
A week and a half prior, she was with me.
So at the time that she fell, did you have insurance on her?
I did. I had the flex spending account insurance. Yes.
So flex spending is not insurance. You do know that, correct?
Well, it is the form of which I pay for her health costs, yes, which is taken out of my paycheck every 2 weeks. So that is our form of healthcare insurance that I use for my children.
Okay, and you heard Mr. Riley testify that she had fluid on her head. Is that?
I need to see medical records of that because Mr. Riley couldn't have took her to the doctor because she was with me the entire week and a half before he had his visitation.
Okay, so you are you aware that Mr. Riley did in fact have to pay for the cost of taking her to the doctor out of pocket?
No, I'm not aware, and I need to see proof of that. He didn't submit that as evidence, so I have that's hearsay.
Appreciate that. I make that determination, but I appreciate all the help.
Righty, okay. And you indicated that, you work from home, but you did leave Alicia in the state of Florida. You understand that is withholding visitation when Mr. Riley cannot access Alicia.
I understood that, but there has been also weekends that Mr. Riley does not show up to get Alicia when it is his scheduled visitation Thursday through Monday morning. That I have her and I have things to do and plans that he disregards.
Okay. And so about the conversation that you had with Ms. Riley, you indicated that you tried to clarify. You said that I guess you were telling her that you were okay with Alicia staying with them, but you didn't want it to be on a permanent basis. Is that correct?
The basis that I was saying, because during that time I wanted to take a job offer, like I stated. I brought it to his attention and he just, no, you're not taking my child kind of situation. So I went to his wife and kind of talked to her about it and kind of see if she can help, the transition. What I stated to her was that I wanted to go for a little while, get set up, get acclimated on my job, and then Alicia had a little bit of school time left. At the end of the school year, I was going to transition her to where I was going to be at that particular time if I took that job offer in Oregon, working for the state of Oregon. And so she said, well, how do you feel about Mike keeping her on a regular basis? And I said, no, Mike doesn't take care of Alicia the way that I take care of her. He doesn't get her hair done. He doesn't have her clothes together. He's not emotionally supportive for her. Psychologically, he is considered the fun dad. He only does activities that makes up or lack of the emotional support that she needs.
Okay, and you indicated that this job that you turned down was going to pay you 6 figures, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and you heard Ms. Riley testify that you indicated that you would have been fine with Alicia staying with them so long as the child support continued. Is that correct?
No, that's not what I stated to her. What I stated to her was that if I took the job, because I had the offer letter and I was going to submit it, if I took the job offer and Mike said it was okay, then I would reduce, pay him a little bit for just keeping her so he didn't have to pay out of pocket for that time period until I got myself acclimated with the job to transition from one state to the other.
Okay, you said pay him a little bit. So you're
basically not pay him, but kind of just him not paying child support for a month or two. Basically, that's what that was.
Okay,
Not for her to live with him on a permanent basis. I would never agree to that. I would never agree to Mr. Riley keeping her on a permanent basis because he's just a fun dad. You know, he takes her on activities and trips. You know, he's not giving her emotional support. He's not there studying and helping her read multiplications, all the things that I do as a mother.
mhm. So you wanted child support to continue?
I
Wow.
sure, yes. Oh, you're saying now, do I want it to continue?
Well, yes, I mean, please, by all means, tell me, in the context of that conversation with Ms. Riley, did you want child support to continue?
Yeah, the child support to continue under those premise, like give him a month where he didn't have to pay anything until I transitioned to that other job.
Okay. All right, and so you indicated that, well, I'll say this, or I'll ask you this. As it relates to your daughter's hair, and you said that Mr. Riley doesn't know how to do your daughter's hair and he doesn't know how to dress her properly. Are those the only concerns that you
Yeah,
have?
like she went to school the weekend prior that he had her on that Friday, the 3rd, and she had on gym pants that showed all her, they were tight, showing all her behind, and a little crop, like short shirt. That's not appropriate for her to wear to school.
Mhm.
And her hair just up in a bun, nestled up. No, that's not appropriate. My child is a representative of myself.
Mhm. Okay. All right, and so you indicated that Mr. Riley is the fun dad, you know, does Alicia enjoy going to Mr. Riley's home? You believe she's happy in Mr. Riley's care?
No, I don't believe she's happy. She just enjoys doing activities, which she also does activities with me. So it's kind of like he doesn't discipline her. It's just, you know, fun, or, you know, that kind of relationship. It's not a structure. He has no structure in his household.
Okay. You heard Mr. Riley testify that he was concerned about her academics. You saw the text messages that he sent to you about his academics, about her Alicia's academics. Okay. And so is that someone who doesn't show any concern?
Basically, this whole thing is a way of manipulation. As though I said, prior to those screenshots that he was sending, Alicia had another teacher that school year, which was Mr. Herman. His name is Alex Herman, who works for the Fulton County School District. That was for 3rd grade, that I stayed in active communication with until she transitioned for the second half of the semester to Miss Baker, where she had somehow pulled Mr. Riley's email address from off the records of the school.
Okay. And so once he notified you that her academics needed to be addressed, did you take action?
Of course. I have all honor students. Why wouldn't I take action? All of my kids are honor students.
Okay.
When I say honor society, National Honor Society, their accolades speak for themselves.
Okay. So going back to the time that she was in Florida, and he indicated that he had issues, that there were issues with her not completing her assignments. Who exactly was caring for Alicia at that time? When you left?
You saying the 2 days that I left? Or
You said 2 weeks before, and now you're saying 2 days.
No, I said we were there for 2 weeks prior to me leaving to go for a meeting that I had scheduled. So that's what I stated.
How long was Alicia in Florida?
For about 3 weeks.
Okay. And how long was Alicia in Florida without you being present?
2 days.
Okay, for those 2 days, who supervised Alicia?
A combination of my dad and my oldest daughter, and yeah, which my oldest is 21.
And you, does Mr. Riley have your dad or your mom's information?
No, they don't want to talk to Mr. Riley.
Does Mr. Riley have your oldest daughter's information?
Yes, he does.
Okay. During the
He
time,
has the middle daughter's information as well as my child's, the child in question's information.
okay. All right. And so you acknowledge that Mr. Riley had Alicia for the majority of the time after the pandemic hit.
No, that's not true. When I went back into the office in May till October, he had Alicia,
So
which he would come.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. He had Alicia from May to October. Is that correct?
No, that's not what I'm saying. Those are the time periods that I had to go back into the office.
Okay. Okay. So what time period, what time frame did he actually have Alicia?
He has her during his standard summer visitations.
Okay. So he didn't finish, Alicia didn't come immediately to him once she was brought back to the state of Georgia?
She did go to his house because, well, what you're saying is when I came back to Georgia, I dropped her directly to his house. Yes.
Okay. And how long did she stay?
That was probably like a week or two before I got subpoenaed. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe a week. So when I got the subpoena, I went and picked her up.
Okay. So it wasn't until this case was filed that you took action to bring her back to Georgia?
No, I didn't bring her back to Georgia because of the action, because I didn't know that the action took place.
Okay. But it wasn't until after the case was filed that you went and picked her up?
It was, I can't remember like the time period. He only had her for like maybe 5 days or something like that, but he came and picked her up from the house. So it wasn't like I dropped her off. It was a Monday. I believe it was a Monday. I'm not for sure. So I don't want to put anything on record that I'm not really clear about. But he only had her for a total of 3 days that he missed, or 3 or 4 days, to kind of counteract the time that he missed, his the counteract of those 6 days that he missed, the 6 consecutive days.
Okay. And excuse me, I'm definitely trying to follow you, but it just seems like I'm getting just a little bit of conflicting information. You say that you were in Florida and you brought her back and you took her directly to his home.
Yes, when I came back into town, I believe it was on a Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday. I brought her back to his residence, and to try to make up the Thursday, Friday, Saturday that he missed for that month, or those 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So he would have had that week that she was gone would have been his week, and then that following week would have been my week, and then the week after would have been his. So I was kind of trying to give him his time back, or kind of let him buy back his time, if that makes sense to the court.
Okay. But you did testify that you left prior to Christmas and that you didn't return until January the 26th. Is that right?
Somewhere around there, I want to say like 3 to 4 weeks. Yeah.
Okay. And you indicated that you didn't want him to just fly and pick her up. He was so concerned that he just wanted to hop on a plane and go get his daughter. You didn't want him to fly, right? To pick her up.
Well, he could have flown, but I didn't want her to fly on the plane. He didn't state to me he did not state to me the means and how he was coming to get her until the day of. He said, well, I bought flight tickets on a Saturday, if you see in the text message.
Is there a reason why you didn't bring her back to Georgia with you when you came back?
I was caring for my mother.
Your mother was in Florida though, is that correct?
Yes, my whole family lives in Florida.
Okay.
I have no family here. My entire family, brothers, sisters, mother, dad lives in Florida.
All right. I don't have any further questions at this time.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
All right, closing?
Judge, we're asking that the court grant Mr. Riley primary custody. Ms. Goodram seems to be all over the place. In her opening, counsel stated that she never removed the child from the state, didn't take her anywhere. And then she indicated that, this is not a contempt action. Well, that's true. It's not a contempt action. But for someone who's shown so much disregard for what the court has ordered, clearly this is a father who is attempting to exercise all of his visitation with his daughter, so much so that he's willing to hop on a plane and go pick her up after he's been denied visitation for over a month in contempt, to where he's had her almost an entire year while he continued to support her. That's just an interesting a situation going on with this case. But then you also have a mother who has left this child alone with a 16-year-old who she's filed a report with law enforcement saying this child has ran away. And then there's some confusion about the report and what she did say and what she didn't say. But the fact of the matter is this child ran away, whether it was one time or two times. And this child is the person that is supervising a 9-year-old. We've seen messages back and forth between these parents about this child missing assignments, about this child missing classes. And while it's true that this child was in virtual school and could have attended the school anywhere, the court is very clear about removing children from the state. Ms. Goodram did that without any regard for Mr. Riley's visitation or for the court's order. You have a situation where the child has busted her head, has a huge lump on her head, half of her face is swollen. And Ms. Goodram indicated, hey, I have a flex account, but she didn't take her to the doctor. She didn't even bother to take her to the doctor. And it turns out that the child didn't even have insurance at that time. And so you have a father that said, okay, I'll get insurance, and has insured the child to make sure that, hey, if she ever needs healthcare moving forward, she's covered. Then he testified at length to this court about academics, about the teachers that he's talked to, about the messages that he's received, about the emails, about the platform, Seesaw, the platforms that's meant to keep parents up to date, that he's communicating this to the mother with pretty much no regard, that he's constantly saying, these are the things that I'm concerned about. And the mother just has no regard for those things. That the mother has indicated that she works. The mother seems to present to the court that, she doesn't go out of town, but she travels frequently, but she hasn't gone out of town for work. But the same parent saying, well, I go to Florida all the time. Mr. Riley's not aware that his child is being taken back and forth out of town. What he is aware of is that his child is not on a schedule, does not appear to be in a stable environment. He and his wife has indicated that they can provide that environment for her, that they live in a home. She goes and she can play outside. She has a child around her age that is not a runaway, that lives there, that she doesn't have to be alone, sitting alone in the room. And Ms. Goodram, again, her testimony is all over the place. I mean, we're back and forth to Florida. Oh, well, she drove back and forth to Florida one day. Then she says that she only left her for 2 days. Then she said she left her for 2 weeks. But the fact of the matter is there's a lot of instability here. And it's not just because of the pandemic. It's a pattern. It's a persistent pattern of medical neglect by not having insurance, and also not taking the child for medical attention when she needs it, by leaving the child alone with a child who has issues, that has run away. Again, it doesn't matter how many times, it only takes one time for there to be an issue. In this particular situation with such a young child. And then she talks about the fact that, you know what, Mr. Riley has not, Miss Riley, she wasn't exactly forthcoming with the information that she provided in her testimony. We didn't talk about, me giving her money back. Oh, well, then she said, well, yeah, I did. I was going to, quote unquote, pay him a little bit. I mean, that sounds a lot like you giving him back child support money to me. But the facts are really clear here. You have a parent who is stable, who lives in a stable home, who is able to supervise this child, who's able to provide medical care for this child, who's able to supervise this child, who cares about the child's academics, who can provide stability. Ms. Goodram has acknowledged that she doesn't have a family in this area, and you know that's no fault of her own. But it seems to be like she's relying on the 16-year-old child and even her oldest daughter to care for her child when she has a father here that's willing to step up and willing to take primary custody. We see that she doesn't have a problem leaving the child with Mr. Riley because she indicated that in her own testimony. But you know, she seemed to say that, oh well, just not on a permanent basis. I just want to go and get things set up. But I think that the evidence has shown, Judge, that this is a significant change in circumstances. She is or has considered moving across the country. And again, this child is 9 years old. And I think partially that the child does make academic progress because you have a father who's so persistent. He's so persistent about these academics. I mean, message after message after message about these academics, communicating with teachers to try to make sure that his daughter maintains progress, doing homework and learning about the different schools and learning what ratings the schools have. These things should go a long way to show that it's in the best interest of Alicia that her father be granted primary physical custody and that her mother be given reasonable visitation. So we'll ask the court to weigh the evidence, to weigh the credibility of Ms. Goodram's testimony and to award primary physical custody to Mr. Riley.
All right. Ms. Jackson, do you mind if I take a 5-minute break? Somebody's standing in the door and I'm afraid they're gonna start vacuuming again.
Okay,
All right, I'll be right back.
all right.
Okay, everybody, whatever you're ready.
Thank you, Judge. On behalf of Ms. Goodram, Your Honor, what is uncontroverted is that Ms. Goodram is very stable. She's been in the same home and at the same job since 2015. Her children, all of her children, are excellent students. And Alicia in particular, it was even confirmed by Mr. Riley that she was an honor roll student throughout her whole school career. So all of this time that Ms. Goodram has been the primary caretaker of the child, she's been doing excellent in school. We got one snapshot of this time period during the pandemic when the children were in virtual school. This time has been nerve-wracking and very difficult for a lot of people. Ms. Goodram was blindsided by this action. To think that he would do this in the midst of this pandemic threw her for a loop. He has not provided any communications that he had with teachers prior to the pandemic. Everything that he's brought before this court has happened during this small period of time since this pandemic began. Ms. Goodram has what she has termed a flex account, the fact that they take money out of her check in order for her to use it for healthcare. I'm not sure why that's any less. I don't understand the argument on that. She has a method to take care of her children. That picture that was entered into evidence happened over 3 years ago, Judge. If Mr. Riley thought that this child was in danger and was not being properly cared for, we would have seen an action 3 years ago when it occurred. What he did say, he took her to the doctor once when she was 7. That's the only thing he pointed out. There have been a lot of generalizations. I do all of this, I do all of that. But when you pinpoint it, we're looking at one time when she was 7, and then he said he takes her to the dentist. According to Ms. Goodram, he takes her when he has her during the summertime, and that was uncontroverted. Ms. Goodram stated she buys her school clothes, her shoes, everything. There's not been any evidence put before this court that she's an unfit parent. The standard is a change of circumstances, Judge, and I submit that whatever change there was is over now. Alicia is back in school. They're doing in-person learning. We haven't seen any communications since she's been back to school that Mr. Riley has, that she hasn't been completing her assignments. We heard from Ms. Goodram that he has been late taking her to school. And we also heard from Ms. Goodram, uncontroverted, that he has forfeited his regular visitation times before the pandemic on numerous occasions. I just think it's a dirty, dirty, low down thing to do this, to try to take this child from her mother at this point. I'm very happy that he was able to get a wife and now they have a nice home incoming, but to try to make the argument that that's a better home simply because it's a home, I find that offensive. We want to take the child from her mother because she lives in an apartment and you live in a home. The child is being properly cared for. Excellent. She's in excellent health. She's in excellent emotional health. Her schoolwork is great. She's an honor student. There is no change of circumstances, Judge. As stated, my client has no family here. She took a trip to Florida. He missed visitation. What she was saying was she was trying to make that visitation up. And if he still wants it, I'm sure that the court feels the need, can order it so he can make it up. But that alone is not grounds to change custody. I just don't see it, Judge. It's not here, and it never was. That one, we're in a real difficult time, and it's a lot to navigate with children with the virtual learning, and she was working. He has more support in his household, yes, but she can navigate and she can manage because we're coming out of this pandemic. The child is back in school. So the things that precipitated this action no longer exist, Judge. And I submit that any change, which I don't think it even rises to the level of a change, it is now passed. And there is no grounds to change custody, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, so, well, when I was trying to straighten them out, to just communicate not vacuuming while I'm in court, right outside of my courtroom door, was looking over the 1993, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this a 50-50. So here's why, because I've considered the best interest of the child concerning 1993. So with this, do you, Mr. Riley, this child gets to school on time. This child is going to get to school on time the 5 days a week that you're going to have this child. Pick them up on time, get to school on time. So both of you are going to share in any portals. So this is going to be 50-50. I like exchange on Fridays. That way, whatever school assignments that child has on a Friday, you've got the entire weekend to finish them up. Drop them off at school on Monday. Mom, Friday, you got that whole week, and then you'll have another weekend. So everybody's got an entire full week. So exchange at school on Fridays. So you'll go week on, week off, week on, week off, week on, week off. What are they doing in the summer right now? Let me see, look at this parenting plan.
Mr. Riley has 2 months in the summer.
Is that what both parents want right now? 2 months in the summer? Or do they want to do like alternating 2 weeks in the summer?
Ms. Goodram?
I didn't hear what you said, Your Honor.
In the summer, do y'all want to just alternate every 2 weeks?
He can have her 1 month and I can have her another month.
Boom, there you go. And then
June 1st to June 31st, and then I have her the July.
and then y'all can alternate a week depending on when it's going to start. In August, y'all can alternate the last one. But, let a few days go. You'll get them the week before, get her the week before school starts. So whatever you have her the last few days after school starts and at least a week before school starts. That way there's that transition period for buying school clothes or what have you. Now, as far as the pandemic, there's different ideas when it started, if we're coming out of it, if we're ending it, whatever we're doing. From your mouth to everybody's ears and to science ears, hopefully we're ending it, but we don't know. So maybe she's in school right now. Maybe we're going to go back to virtual. We don't know. But I have decided that this is going to be what's in the best interest of the child. As long as this child has insurance, I feel comfortable. So Mr. Riley, share the insurance card and everything with Miss Goodram so that she can have that access to use that insurance card. So Mr. Riley, I'm going to stress, when you have that child gets to school on time, which means early. On time is late. So that's on you. Miss Goodram doesn't live far from the school. So the bus may pick the child up or whatever. So this is on you, because if this child is late, then you're going to hear from DFACS, you're going to hear from all this, and Miss Goodram's going to find something, and this can end that quick based on how you behave. You want to be a full-time dad? Here you go. This is your chance. You're going to decide what you're going to do with this. It's going to make you or break you. This is going to force the two of y'all to get along. I don't have a problem with her staying with her grandma in the summer, but when it's her time in the summer, if Miss Goodram wants to let this kid go stay with her grandma in the summer, that was some of the best times of my life, staying with my grandma. You got away from your parents. And if she's 9 years old, you don't have to, she's starting to have hormones. So that's going to be a while before she's going to not like either one of you, not going to stay with either one of you. She's going to want to be with the grandmother because neither one of y'all know what you're talking about. And then she's not going to like anybody but her friends. So some of the rules, which counsel, y'all can put this in your parenting plan in the order, is that if it's your time, Miss Goodram, make sure that if she wants to do something on Mr. Riley's time, she has to ask Mr. Riley. Mr. Riley, if she wants to do something that's Miss Goodram's time, she doesn't ask you. You don't give her permission. She has to ask Miss Goodram. As far as extracurriculars, in school, obviously she's in school with Miss Goodram, so Miss Goodram can pick one. Mr. Riley, if you want to pick one, but this is a little kid. Don't overload this kid with all these extracurricular activities. Obviously, there's things that she does, So unless there's a reason to turn them down, just let her stay in her extracurricular activities. Don't overload her, because unfortunately, there's not a lot of professional women's sports and things like that where they can make money. And, scholarships for things like lacrosse are so small, but if there's something she can get a scholarship for, academia is the way to go. And it sounds like all these kids are really smart. That's the way you're going to make the most money anyway, probably for any time as a girl in sports or anything like that. So I just want you both to be supportive of this little girl. Okay. And if there's something in the summer, you guys just be supportive of this little girl. Set whatever you have aside for each other. Make sure it doesn't interfere with somebody's time. So if you're going to put her in something, don't put her in something that's a team that's going to interfere with Miss Goodram's time, and don't put her in something as a team that's going to interfere with Mr. Riley's time, unless y'all both agree on it. Okay. So y'all got to think about one another's time, because what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Because if one of you do something, the other one's going to do something. If one of you says no one time, the other one's going to say no one time. Of course, I'm kind of famous for this, so I'll do this again. Here's what I hope that both parties do. Both parties just this parenting plan, and they do this. And they go back and they look at it and they go, here's our parenting plan. What are we going to do with it? We're going to throw it in the drawer and never look at it again, because both of us are going to be human beings, and we're going to say, hey, I've got something special this week. Can we swap weeks? And then one party's going to say, yep, because there's going to be another week where the other party's going to say, I want to swap weeks. And then when the other person asks, if you said no, the other person going to say nope, because I remember when I asked, you said no. So we're going to be grown-ups, because we just have this kid. And it's great that you have the health savings account, and I would hate for anything to happen to one of your children. But Ms. Goodram, you work for Northside in the business department or whatever. One trip to the emergency room and that money's gone. So it's fantastic that there is.
Well, I have a way, Your Honor, where if I have to go to being an employee, emergency care is taken care of.
Don't even make me mad about that, because I'm gonna get you to adopt me so I can get all that stuff. But yes, so do that. So let's make sure we do that. But also let's make sure that if the child is at grandma's house or does go to one of the grandma's house, that the other parent still has contact with that. So let's make sure she has a cell phone charged and things like that. And then we obviously know how cruel the world can be and how dangerous it is, for small children. So if there's something that's just Find My iPhone or Life 360, don't use it to track where the kid is with the other parent. But if it's your time, it is safe to have one of those, but don't just track it on the other parent's time. You'll probably want it when the kid goes out on a date and she doesn't know that it's there to see where that young man's taking her. So you might want to slide that on her phone before she knows. But I do think it's the best interest for this kid to have both of you as good influences. One, to teach her what you guys have done wrong and y'all don't want her to do, and what you've done great that you want her to repeat. Maybe you say, hey, this is what you look for in a man, not this. This is what you look for. And he may say, don't look for this in a man because this is what I did wrong. This is what you need to do. Don't look for a guy just like me, and look for one just a little bit better. And mom may say, hey, look for this in a man. I looked for this in a man. It wasn't good. So don't go for looks, go for brains. I don't know. Just do this. Teach this girl and raise her to be a phenomenal woman that I'm sure all these other young girls are, because Kamala has broke that glass ceiling and somebody's going to have to go a little bit higher than Kamala. And I'm looking for that young lady that's going to do it. I'm just ready to get that name on the ballot. So hopefully it's going to be her. Y'all don't let me down.
Honor.
Y'all do not let me down. It's got to be one of these young women that's been in here.
Thank you.
Y'all are going to make this work. And it sounds like y'all can work together. You're not that bad about it, but there is a pandemic. So she's not quite ready for a vaccine, not getting political. So y'all please be careful when you're taking this child around anybody, as far as getting her exposed for whatever. There's all kinds of science out there. I'm not a scientist. I don't do math. I don't do science or anything like that, but please, be respectful of the other person's health when you're taking the child out somewhere. So let's take care of the kid. Make sure both parents are on any communication. If there's portals or anything that they can be in touch with, make sure you do it. You guys create it. You don't have to do Our Family Wizard, but it's a great way to keep up with things because there's documentation. Because I like it And lawyers like it too, because if you disagree on something and you're communicating, then the court can have access, a guardian can have access. And if it says, hey, I emailed Ms. Goodram and she never opened them. Well, there's a whole list of what time you sent it and how she never opened them. And she says, well, I made a calendar, because there's a calendar on there. So if there's ever a question, all I gotta do is open it up and look at the calendar. She can say, I've emailed him and he hasn't responded. Well, there's a whole record right there. And that way it's not in your personal email. So if you want to show it to your lawyer, you can say, here's my log on, look. And that's just between the two of y'all. Y'all can keep up with everything about your child. Share stuff on the, share portal information or whatever, but please do that. And please give each other access to medical doctors and things of that nature. Just be the bigger person. Your mom's told you that. We hated it. And I don't want to be the bigger person, but here, be the bigger person. It's for this little girl. Okay. And bless both y'all's heart, because she's about to be a teenager, and I don't envy either one of you, because I know how I was when I was a teenager. It wasn't pretty. And
Just one last clarification for child support. Are we just going to do the difference between Mr. Riley's obligation and Ms. Goodram's?
Right, you just do the
Okay,
difference because she
okay.
makes a little less money.
Okay.
And Ms. Goodham, I don't know why you turned down that beautiful job that's going on in Oregon. Email me a copy if that's still open, because I would love to live in Oregon.
I wish I never did, but it is what it is.
That's a beautiful state. Beautiful, beautiful. But yeah, I don't want to take another bar exam.
So are you asking, I just have one question, Your Honor. Are you saying that child support is split, or?
Well, it's the difference between what he would have paid you and you would have paid him, because you're splitting the time. So he's going to owe you some, but just not as much as he would before.
Even though he's making more than me right now?
Right. He's still going to owe you some, but it wouldn't be
Okay.
as much if you had her. Yeah, he's still going to owe you some, but it won't be as much as if you had her full time.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, we preparing the order, Judge?
If you folks don't mind, and you can
Okay.
both email it to me, but this is the time for, you got a chance, Mr. Riley. You want to be that full-time parent, here you go. So hopefully it's going to force you both to work together and do what's best for this little girl.
Yes, ma'am. Understood.
Obviously, nothing's going to keep her from being a ham, not even a little knot on the head. She's definitely a ham, so she's a cute girl and knows when that camera's pointing at her. For sure. So best of luck to both of you.
Right.
And
I'm sorry.
go
I wanted
ahead,
to know the takedown fee for Ms. Boss.
Ms. Bosky. I think she'll email it to you, Ms. Bosky.
Okay.
You know what it is.
Ms.
Okay,
Jackson, I'll get with you and coordinate the.
thank you.
plan. Thank
Okay.
you.
And you
Thank
both
you,
have
Judge.
my email, so just email it to when it's ready, and I will be glad to sign it and e-file it, so y'all won't have to pay anything for it, and then we'll send you both copies.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you, Judge.
All
Thank
right, thank you both. Feel better, Ms. Jackson.
All right.
Ms.
bye-bye.
Bosky, thank you again for stepping on last minute. I appreciate it. And I'll see you on the 28th, Ms. Bosky.